Scammers are not good. You might have heard this a lot, but what you didn't know is that you've been scammed for a very long time without you being known about it. Let me tell you, humans are evolving, and along with humans evolves the technology and their lifestyle as well. Well, so do smartphones. Smartphone cameras in particular have come a very long way. Started off as a gimmick with the launch of the original iPhone back in 2007 to, well, today with specialized phones just for their cameras. But one thing hasn't changed yet. Companies misleading smartphone marketing with those cameras. And you do realize we have come a very long way from that 2 megapixel lens back in 2007 to companies like Xiaomi boasting a 108 megapixel camera and quad camera setups on budget oriented devices. But if you see closely on Xiaomi's own Mi 11 Ultra and Mi 10 Ultra, they only have 48 and 50 megapixel main camera modules respectively. So to the average consumer, it looks like Xiaomi is giving more for less, right? But the question is, does more megapixels mean better pictures? Definitely not. And I can tell you for sure that this is a misleading marketing tactic used by smartphone companies to make numbers bigger than quality in the average consumer's mind. So first of all, you see those commercials by smartphone companies on their 108 megapixel quad camera arrays. Well, they are able to afford those sensors mostly because the sensor quality is always at least less than 75% of those big flagship sensors. And what affects a sensor quality, you may ask? Well, the color science, the color sensor size, as well as most of the post-processing and fine-tuning options with the sensor. The color science in the sensor enables how punchy the photo comes out, as well as ensuring the color temperature and color contrast. And you see those 50 megapixel units of the Mi 11 Ultra? Well, now take a picture on that and the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max with the 108 megapixel camera of that and compare both of them. You'll see that the one on the Mi 11 Ultra is more clear, more detailed, and has the proper coloring of the actual scene. Why? This is because of the bigger sensor and the better sensor on the Mi 11 Ultra. How does this make sense? Well, a bigger sensor enables more light to come in and thus grabbing more detail in every shot. So even though a phone might have a 108 megapixel camera, if the sensor is small, then the detailing would never be close to flagship level. Post-processing has come a long way from just minor tweaks to now companies saving on the hardware but making the software so robust and capable it would look really good despite having a lack of proper high-end camera hardware. And Google and Apple are a perfect example for this. Google has always used a 12.2 megapixel sensor from the original Pixel to their latest Pixel 5, and even the sensor size has reduced actually. Apple is the same. Apple uses a generic 12 megapixel sensor from the iPhone 10 to their latest iPhone 12 Pro Max, but Samsung and other companies use bigger and better res sensors. So, better hardware means better photos? Again, practically yes, but end results speak for a draw. Why? Because the post-processing and software tuning is so much on the Google and Apple phones that they're easily comparable with those flagship level bigger sensors. Without having to purchase any of those hardware, Google and Apple can do it, and Apple even has an advantage because everything from their chips to the operating system that their camera runs on is made by them. And then you even see these more budget phones nowadays boasting their triple or quad camera sensors, right? Well, that is where the marketing is actually close to a scam, and it becomes very much a scam when those companies add the word flagship level because it clearly isn't. And let me tell you how this goes. This is a Poco X3, this is a Samsung Galaxy A52, and a Redmi 9C. Take a look at the cameras and tell me how many of those cameras actually make sense to you. Hardly one, two. Other than the main sensor, the Samsung and the Poco ones have an ultra-wide camera as well, so it is pretty useful. But on the Redmi 9C, how would I ever use the other two cameras other than the main one? And why does it need a specialized depth sensor if it emphasizes so much on AI? And on Poco's side, it announced the camera of the Poco X3 as flagship level. What is flagship level on the Poco X3's camera? Does it have a specialized telephoto lens? No. Does it have a larger sensor? No. Does it have a better sensor? No. Then on what basis are they making these claims as a flagship level camera? And why on earth will I ever use the extremely low res macro sensors on these devices? This is definitely cheating on one side, and on the other, companies are just wasting their own money. Because why do you need to have 4 cameras on a phone if you can just eliminate the 2 cheap sensors and just use that money on making the rest of the cameras better? This is mostly because of you guys, the consumers. How, you may ask? Because according to the human psychology, you might hear about something and easily neglect it, but when you feel it, it makes you want to have the same experience with everything else again and again. That's why you get glass backs on phones, which don't even have wireless charging. That's why you get better resolution screens, even though the average human won't care for tuning the color on it. And that's why you get these quad cameras, because it makes it feel like you got a flagship, but without draining your pocket. And this is the most I can explain. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and also share this video to a lot of people so that they know what they're getting into every time they buy a new phone. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, this is yours truly, Shreyas Kalyan.